G'day Ratbags and welcome to another episode of Dirt Riders TV.
Bag it up!
In today's episode, it's time to get tanked. I've picked an Acherbis 25 litre tank, which should increase my range from about 180 k's to an estimated 400 kilometres or so. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Okay Ratbags, here we go. Let's keep things simple and easy. One Acherbis 25 litre tank. Get your pretty little drawstring, pull it out. Tank. Plus goodies. Cut these off. Easy peasy. That's all your goodness in there. Taps, rubbers, hose, bolts. Let's get it together. First thing we need to do is take off the side covers, then the seat, and now we can get at this tank. Undo the two main holding bolts. Make sure your fuel tap's turned off, which is in the horizontal position, not the vertical as I've put it in here, and I was to find out at the end when the hose come off and fuel came out. There's also this little hose that goes into the tank. It has been told to me that it helps pressurise the tank because it doesn't have a breather. It goes back into the carby there somewhere, and I was also told that if you just block it off to stop any dust going in, that's all that's necessary. That's the tank, pretty smick looking, 25 litres. So you get your little bag of goodies, open it up, looks like it's got some instructions in here. Pretty simple. Hook in your tap, put on your seat plate so that it will hook in, and the two bolts for bolting it down. Then connect it to the fuel. Easy. Righto. It's about the goodies. Look, get rid of that. Oh, you get a sticker too. Nice little sticker. Okay, now there's an O-ring on that. We obviously want to keep a hold of that fella. Let's get some tools. Now on our instructions, it says the M screws, which are right, that's these little tape threaded ones. Then you have these fellas, which will be for bolting down your tank in place, but they don't match the description up here. It says it's a hex head. It's not a hex head. And then you've got these little fellas which will bolt on your plate, which look nothing like those screws either. So just use what fits. As you can see, there's one tap inlet here that's been cut out ready for the supplied tap, but there's also a mounting area for a secondary one which they don't supply. But what happens when that side of your tank has got no access to the little bit of fuel that's left over? You're going to be stuffed. So I think they should have cut that out and just given you a second tap in the first place. Why muck about? They might save a few pennies, but you only get a half done job. So obviously one thing you want to do is make sure you put your tap facing the outside for the access. Don't put it on backwards. Gently slip it on in here. It's a tight little fit. Got it. Didn't feel like it wanted to go then, but a little bit of force. Again, make sure you got your O-ring in there, you'll definitely need that. Just finger start these screws. Nice. And then you can use whatever tool you want to do them up with. The old socket's not going to work here for us, so we're going to have to go and get a spanner, and that is an 8mm spanner. So the old ratchet spanner is what I'm going to use. I might just try and get it started first with the open end. Yeah, that's biting in nicely. And this side, just so I can get it going in nice and square. Yeah, it looks good. Nah, it's not going to like that on this side. There we go. Still got to do it a bit more by hand here to get it past the cock on the valve. It doesn't fit. Obviously, we don't want to over tighten these. The rubber seal will do the work. Just when it feels very firm, that should do it. That's not moving. Nice. So next we have the seat plate holder. Pretty easy. Now we just screw it up, eh? So mounting this seems pretty straightforward. As long as you get these round pieces lined up with those round pieces, it should slip in nice and easy. Now, having said that, we do have a small problem, and that's this plastic fairing. That plastic fairing there is stopping the whole tank from moving right forward. So it looks like it's got to come off. Alright, as you can see down here, that's got to come forward about that much further, and the plastic fairing's not letting it do it. So it's just the two on each side. We'll pull them undone, crack them both. Oh, get that off. One, two. There we go. One plastic fairing. See you later. Let's try that again. Slip him in, push him forward. That's nice now. As you can see, these bolt holes are lining up nicely. Now, before I bolt it in, I just wanted to point out one other thing. It has to do with our hoses. So, this hose, this one goes into the carburetor, and on the other tank it actually fed back into the tap. So this one I'm just going to tuck up into here till I can speak to someone about it. Then you come around the side. This is where our main fuel line will come up into the tank. So I'm not sure what to do with this one. I don't want to block it off in case it restricts something inside this carby. So for now I'm just going to sit it there. I'll be able to do something in a couple of days and I'll let you know what happened. So I've already mentioned this. I found out that it is something to do with the pressure in the tank, and that the solution is just to block it off so no dust gets back in there. If anyone knows any different, let us know in the comments below. So you take your little washer, your grommet, put this spacer inside, push it nice and flush. Then we want to have the bolt and a washer, which will go in from the top on that side. That's how it's going to go together. So, spacer, rubber, bolt, washer. Push them in like that. That's one. That's two. Now I'll just line them up. Now one thing I did do that you didn't see was before I pushed that rubber in, I just gave the hole a bit of a squirt with some lubrication, just so that rubber would push in a bit easier. And it did make the job a lot easier. That rubber, I want to give it a bit more surface area to cover and pull down. So, okay, so this is what I've come up with. We've got a much larger washer there, just go over the top. And as you can see, now I've got a full, even amount of pressure on top of that rubber grommet. Now it feels like it's getting good pressure on those rubbers evenly, as I just noticed. You tighten them up and they just squirt out a little bit, so that's in there nice and sturdy. Okay, we'll slip the seat back on. You're really going to have to make sure you get this part and the top part, one in under, one up in here. So you've got to give it a bit of an oomphin'. Yep. That's got it. Now my holes line up nice and neat. Just going to bolt them on and put on our side plates and we're done. Oh, minus the fuel line, of course. It's just a matter of sliding him on. Just like that. One like that. And moving our clamps around. Just a matter of bringing the clamp down to where we want it. Make sure it gets past the tip of that pipe. And now this spring just keeps the shape to the hose as far as I'm aware. Okay, this hose they've supplied, it's not for the fuel line, so make sure you don't use it for the fuel line. It's only for the breather off the top of your tap, or I should say the top of your tank. So that's where she's going, and we'll tuck her in down in here somewhere till I get a prettier one. Looks like something I found on the side of the road like that. So here's the pretty one. Only cost me 10 bucks from the local bike shop. Lets the air breathe in and out through the cap. Much better, that's for sure. So I'm pretty happy with that now. We got the new tank. Should double our fuel capacity. The one thing I have noticed, these blinkers, they tap the tank. So as you can see, they jut right out a fair way. And as soon as you turn the tank, they just bend it in like that. So I'm going to have to now change those blinkers just to avoid hitting the tank all the time. So I thought what I might do is see if we can't turn these upside down in order to stop them hitting on the tank. So let's give it a crack, eh? Now as you can see, we've got these little grooves and another one there that stops the whole thing from moving. But what I'm going to do is attempt to flip it upside down just bolt it straight on. But before I do, as you can see, that's touching, so I'm just going to undo this fella and spin it around a bit further. Pretty simple, just grabbing the old shifter, cracking that nut. Oh, come on. It's always the case, you say it's simple and then all of a sudden it ain't. Maybe I should have done it before it was taken off. Let's try that. I'll put it back on and crack the nut. There we go. That made the difference. Just undo them both again. So if that's upside down, and they're facing forward, that's the plan. This bolt here is also one that holds in the top end of your shocks, so when we do it up, we want to make sure it's tight anyway. I'm going to get that tightened up. And once it's tightened up, they'll be sitting up higher, but I think they're going to clear this. So that's the main thing. They're going to clear this sitting up there. Okay, so it's tight enough to make that come down. Roll him back up and do this one up again, because you want that tight. As I said, this holds all that together. Righto. Now that's done. What's the verdict? Does it work? No more tank slap. No more tank slap on the light. That's what we wanted. As you can see, it sits a little bit higher, but that's all right. As long as it's not, as long as it's functional and not banging into this and buckling, I don't care. Okay, so what you've got to be aware of is this little clamp here that runs on that cable. It made me have to set this one at a particular position, and then on the other side I had to set the other one to match. Two things that happen: they're not straight up and down, and if you see, there's a very small gap in here that is holding the light. There's actually a groove that holds this light at a particular angle. Well, I've had to lift it out, and that's why we have a small gap. But once it's tight, it's bouncing around, it's not going to go anywhere. They look square when you look at them from front on, and they blink and show people that you're coming. And no more tank. Well, we got a little bit of tank slap, but not as much as what we had before. The other side, just a little bit, and that I can handle until I smash them or drop them, and then we'll get some smaller ones. Now for the final cosmetic touches, we're all set to bag it up.
You better believe it.
So there we have it. I hope this video was of value to you, and if it was, leave us a thumbs up or let us know what you thought. And until next time, don't forget to get outside and play.